Incredible story tonight out of Michigan. Robert and Patricia Haynes struggle to care for their two adult children who have severe cerebral palsy. But an odd law in that state classifies them as, quote, home health care employees simply because they take care of their own handicapped kids in their own house. As a result, they are forced to join the Service Employees International Union, which deducts hundreds of dollars each year in dues from state money meant for those handicapped children. Joining us now, Carl Palladino, who is beside himself in anger about all this, and Demos Senior Fellow Richard Brodsky, who supports the union dues. Richard, I can't believe, knowing the details of this story, that you would support this.
Look, they got this family your heart goes out to them because they're working hard to help their kids. This family got about a 30% increase in the monies, the public monies that they get because of this union. That part of that money goes back to sustain the union. So they benefited from the union activities. There was an election that said we want the union for this group of workers. This is industrial democracy at its best. It benefits real people, and it benefited this family.
But, Carl, they are not union workers. And they said, and I'm quoting Mr. Haynes, he says, we take care of our kids at home. There aren't any union issues involved in our caretaking, but the money keeps being taken out of our checks anyway, Carl.
Incredible, Richard. I don't believe you're saying these things. You can't make this stuff up. You wanted to be an elected representative. Is that the way you protect the taxpayers? These are Medicaid monies. What are you talking about?
These monies are there to provide funding for people who provide professional care to either their families or others. They are employees of the state for that purpose. These are all technicalities, Carl.
They're parents of a disabled child.
And what's at stake is that because of this union, they got more money to care for their kid.
That union got $6 million last year in dues from health care workers who are independent contractors. Pretty soon you're going to want them to go and unionize people's who get tax returns and take a dues from people getting their tax returns.
Carl, you know that they can withdraw from the union anytime they want. This isn't the day to pick on unions, Carl. We had elections yesterday.
We don't care.
The state of Ohio rejected these kinds of attacks on unions. This union helped this family, and as part of that process, the union they become members of the union.
Is this family terribly misinformed? Because they say, we're not even home health care workers. We're just parents taking care of our kids. They see money taken out, $30 every month. That's about $400 a year that they could use specifically, and they're not spending money on Cadillacs or wasting money. They're spending their money on their kids. They desperately need this money that's taken out.
And they should get more help, and the reason they got even the amount of help they got is because the union demanded increases in the amounts given to these families.
If this issue was on a ballot, hold on, Richard. If this issue was on a ballot, Carl, what do you think the people would vote for? For the Haynes, for those people, or for the position that Richard is taking?
I would think the people would vote for better representation from their legislative leaders. By the way, these are Republicans, all right, that are supporting this silliness. These are Republican elected representatives who should be protecting these people, who should be raising or seeking to raise the stipend for disabled children, not the union. What is a union doing lobbying? The union has no business lobbying.
The unions lobby all the time. By the way, Richard, you're right. Yesterday, the unions won a big one in Ohio. But if this issue was on the table, if this issue was described to people with your position and with the position that Carl and I were taking, how do you think the people would vote? With us or with you?
I think they would vote to help the families, and the union helps the families.
But I don't think that connection is easily made.
It may not be easily made, but it's the truth.
It's not made to the couple that's taking care of their two handicapped children, and they're the ones that matter the most.
What we saw in Ohio was the American people believe in industrial democracy. They believe in the rights of people to organize, and even when the unions are wrong, and they're wrong quite often, they represent an aspect of American life that's worth preserving.
Carl,
there was a total lack of transparency here. They did it with secret meetings of a company that was formed just for the purpose of taking these dues and handing these dues over to the SEIU. And where do you think the money went to, Richard? It went to the political campaign coffers of the representatives who allowed it.
Went to Richard, last to Carl. Gentlemen, thank you very much. By the way, we called the SEIU, the union, to come on and comment, and they didn't respond. And tomorrow, we have an exclusive interview with Robert and Patricia.